listening audience, this month is Sickle Cell Month. And I have on our show the executive director, who is a real busy lady, and took time to be on the show to tell us about sickle cell and where we are with sickle cell. And her name is Annie Womack. And if you don't know Annie Womack, you need to get to know her because she is the lady of our town. She knows everything that's going on in our city, and especially with sickle cell. But Annie, I know you're busy today, but how are you today?
I am fine, exhausted, circumnavigating the whole state of Ohio in one day. That's how busy I
Oh my gosh, you're just a superwoman, girl. You're just a superwoman. That's what you do. But you know what? We've been afflicted with sickle cell for many years. I looked it up. I said since 1910. And could you tell the listening audience what is sickle cell, and what are some of the symptoms of sickle cell?
Sickle cell is a genetic disorder that mutates the red blood cells. And the red blood cells are the ones that carry the most oxygen and blood and hemoglobin to your body. So, what that mutation does is it sickles or forms C shaped sickler cells, and they become hard, rigid, and they stick together. And
Uh-huh.
what that does is, as they are stuck together in groups and clumps, they try to go through the veins and then they get stuck in the veins, which causes the veins to expand, and that's called vasal occlusion, and that's what causes the pain. So
Yeah.
and so that's one of the major symptoms of sickle cell disease is that pain that's caused anywhere in your body that has veins and where blood flow. You can get a
Uh-huh.
clot, and that's what causes the pain.
Oh my goodness. Now, do they have a cure for it?
No, ma'am, there is no cure. They
Uh-huh.
have treatments for the pain. They have
Uh-huh.
medications to help break up the clots, if you will. And
Uh-huh.
of course, they have pain medication, but there's no
Uh-huh.
cure or
Uh-huh.
universal cure, meaning everybody can get it. But there is, some gene therapies coming down the line. And then we also have, bone marrow transplantation. But again, you have to have a match, and you have to pass the criteria, and it's a long criteria.
Uh-huh. I understand too, and we know that it's one in every 365 African Americans are afflicted with a sickle cell. Do they know why? And then one out of every 1,600 uh, people of color, Hispanic, and then Caucasians can get it, but not as much as African Americans. And
Well, the word Caucasian. Let me correct you. There's
okay,
no
well, correct
continent
it.
called there's no continent called Caucasia.
Okay.
So there's no such thing
What?
as a Caucasian, but there's Mediterraneans and some Europeans, but they have to be from those Mediterranean countries. So if there's anybody that is of non-melatonin skin that has sickle cell, that means they're either Irish, that means they're either Greek, Mediterranean, something like that. They're not what you consider the Caucasian race, which you can't track them back anyway. Those are Europeans, but they have to be of a Greek or Mediterranean heritage from
Uh-huh.
one of those seven continents where
Uh-huh.
malaria was present, because that those are the telltales. It has to be in the sub-Saharan Africa
Uh-huh.
rainforest type situation where
Uh-huh.
malaria was prevalent. And so
Mhm.
that's why you have the mutations in that subset of folk,
All
not
right,
Caucasians.
that's the reason why we got you on here, so you can educate us on where we are and what but who is the most vulnerable is of contracting sickle cell.
Well, of course, 80% of mostly all 80 to 75% are African Americans or people with sub-Saharan heritage.
Uh,
So, but again, with the theory of it only takes one drop of black blood, you have a lot of mixed race folk, because they say once you get the drop, so you can be. It all depends on who your parents are and where they came from.
that's it. If you have the trait, can that is that still getting into to the family? Is it still uh, possible that family members, if you have the trait, that can be passed on to the family?
Yeah, one in every 13 African American households there's somebody in your house with trait. So trait is very prevalent in the minority communities and all the communities of sickle cell prevailing races. So trait is passed on again from a parent in the genes. It takes 2 trait genes for a person to have a form of sickle cell disease, or if a person with a sickle cell trait, S or C, beta thalassemia, marries or has a child with any hemoglobin blood disorder, any disorder, that disorder can link with a sickle cell. So you have people with 2 diseases like beta thalassemia, sickle cell, beta thalassemia plus and sickle cell. So there's Cooley's anemia plus sickle cell. So it can link to any abnormality to form a version of a hemoglobin blood disorder.
Oh, I see. I understand that there's some FDA approved medications for sickle cell that has just come out. Is that true?
Well, we only have 4 approved FDA medications for 100,000 people.
Uh-huh.
And some diseases that are only a third, like cystic fibrosis, there's 30,000 documented. They have like hundreds of medications. So
Uh,
of course, here we go again with that disparity, what they call disparity. I just call racism.
mm,
But we had 3 that came out, 1 pre-COVID, 2 during COVID. So
mm,
we've only have 3, and those only treat the symptoms.
mhm,
2 are daily supplements that you can take to build up your oxygen.
mm.
1 is supposed to help break down the clumps as they form the sickle, but help them be less stickier so they
Mm.
won't stick together. And then the other one helps you reduce the pain, but that's only given in the hospital.
Oh, wow. What can the community do to, maybe get this out more, or to get more research done on the sickle cell disease?
Well, first of all, with our community, I talk about this all the time, and people, they think I'm joking, but I'm serious. We don't talk about stuff that happens in our home. So you
Mm.
can have a person that lives a long life, healthy life, can pass away at 60 and 75. We won't know that they had sickle cell till they die because we don't talk about things. And
Uh,
our community is the only community that makes everything glossier, better than it is. Oh, I only got a little sugar. No, you have diabetes. No, I can't breathe. No, you have asthma or bronchitis. We gloss over stuff, and we don't tell our children what's really going on, and it goes from generation to generation. What goes in the house stays in the house, so you don't even know what your relatives have
mm,
until you read the obituary, and then that's only when you go to the repast because nobody's really talking about it. So we need to talk about what's going on, what's genetic in your families, and
mhm,
then we need to donate blood, because the blood supply that the American Red Cross, I can speak about the American Red Cross, Versity, and these blood banks.
mm,
80 to 85% of the blood that's donated come from non African American, non Hispanics, non people of color.
mm,
So
mm,
85% of that population. So
mm,
when you have 80% of a population of a disease state, and
mhm,
you only have 15% of folks to draw blood from, you got a
mhm.
problem. So we need to
Oh,
donate blood. We need to
uh-huh.
donate blood. We need to donate plasma. Stay out them
Yeah.
plasma centers. Stop collecting money, and go to the Red Cross and donate some blood.
All right, all right. On our next show, I have a group of people that are actually doing that, Annie. They are having their Pastor McCrary,
Yeah,
Teresa
Teresa
McCrary.
McCurry down at the
I
Misha Saxon Foundation.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, and she's got a program that's donating blood, and we're going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about that in the next part of our show. And also, I wanted to ask you, what I know this is Sickle Cell Month.
Yes.
What programs? I know you're so busy. What programs are you doing in the community this month?
Well, we are doing now remember, I'm statewide, so all the blood drives that are happening across the state of Ohio that focus on sickle cell and diversity, I already know about. I'm on
Okay,
the board of the American Red Cross Diversity Council, so
yeah.
it is our job to link up with churches.
Uh,
We did Sickle Cell Sabbath last weekend. We
uh,
had blood drives across the state, but we're having blood drives almost every weekend, every Friday and Saturday. Um, Down in Cleveland at the end of the month, we're having a red and white ball put on by the Kincaid Kindred Spirits, which the Misha Saxon Foundation came out of,
uh,
down in Cleveland, in
uh,
Columbus at the beginning of the month. We just on Monday lit up the state houses red. Um, we have blood drives going on. I have 2 blood drives tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Actually, on that Saturday, I have 4 blood drives, one in Cleveland, one in Columbus, have two and one in Akron, and then one down in Southwest Ohio. So we're doing blood drives, blood drives, blood drives, trying to get the information out
Uh-huh.
about minority blood donation, and then linking up and just getting information out. The information is out there, but we
Uh-huh.
need people like the Misha Saxon Foundation to tell their story. The Faith
Uh-huh.
Thomas Foundation here in Columbus, tell your story. The Hunt Foundation. We have a lot of foundations that are set up.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, they're set
Uh-huh.
up on a tragedy because they've already lost a family member. And
Uh-huh.
that's when they start setting these up. But we want people to get in the front of this while their child and family members going through to tell their story. And that's
Uh-huh.
what we've been doing across the state.
All right, all right. Now, how can they get more information? How can they contact you to get more information? If some other organizations might want to do a blood drive also and link up, how can they get in contact with you, Annie?
Well, they could go to our website at ohiosicklecell.org. That's
Uh-huh.
ohiosicklecell.org. They can call our office at 614-228-0157. 614-228-0157. They can link up with the Red Cross or any donation center. Tell them you
Uh-huh.
want to do a sickle cell specific or a minority blood drive. You want to
Uh-huh.
link up with the sickle cell group. They'll call me and we'll get it on.
And you'll get it on. Well, let's get it on, Annie. Let's get it on. Well, you know what? I know you're busy, and we're going to continue this part. But just thank you for taking the time to be on the show. This is a very, very, very busy month for you, and I just like to thank you for giving us this information and for being on this week's show of S. Yolanda Robinson in the Know. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.